I took the job because I was broken out of options. It was a night security position posted on a bulletin board inside a truck stop somewhere between Gallup and nowhere. Minimal effort, good pay, must be okay with isolation. That last part should have been a red flag, but I was desperate. The site was a solar energy field, still under construction, smack in the middle of the desert. They had dozens of those big black panels stretching out for miles, bordered by a chain-link fence and nothing but dry brush beyond. Closest town was 20 miles away. Closest neighbor? Probably a lizard. The guy who interviewed me, some clipboard type in khakis and sunglasses, said I'd be working with another guard named Ray. Veteran guy, he said, knows the place well, just follow his lead. When I asked why they needed 2 night guards for a place with no power yet, he just laughed. Things disappear out here. People blame coyotes. Better safe than sorry. That night, I met Ray in the tiny prefab shack they called the office. He was native, maybe Navajo, mid-50s, with a long braid and a face like worn leather. He didn't shake my hand, just handed me a flashlight and a walkie and said, "Don't go past the fence, ever, even if you hear something." I tried to make a joke, but he didn't smile. "What do you mean?" I asked. He paused, looked out the small window like he was watching something just beyond the dark. "This land don't sleep easy. If something calls your name from the dark, don't answer it, no matter who it sounds like." I nodded like I understood. I didn't. The first couple nights were uneventful. Ray and I worked in shifts. One patrolled, the other sat in the truck or the shack, switching every couple hours. Most of the time, the only sounds were wind, the creak of metal, and the occasional coyote howl. I told myself it was boring. That was good. Boring meant safe. Then, on the third night, I heard someone say my name. It was faint, just past the fence line. "Tyler." I froze. It sounded like my sister. Same voice, same way she used to say it when she needed a ride home. But she lived in Albuquerque. There was no way. I stepped out of the shack and shone my light toward the noise, but there was nothing, just sagebrush and sand. Ray showed up 10 minutes later for the shift change. I told him what I'd heard. He stared at me hard. "Don't follow voices. Don't talk to them. Don't even think about who it might sound like. That ain't them." I laughed nervously, but he wasn't joking. "Look," he said, "this land belongs to more than just people. Stay in the truck. Don't go wandering." By the 5th night, I was starting to feel it, the crawling sensation at the base of your neck, like something's watching you just outside the light. The air got colder, heavier. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It pressed on your ears like it wanted to say something. Around 2:30 a.m., I saw movement near the far end of the panel rows. A figure, hunched and thin, just standing there, staring. I blinked, and it was gone. I checked the cameras. Nothing, not even static. Then the walkie crackled. "Tyler," the voice whispered, but it wasn't Ray. It was me. My voice, my exact voice. Then silence. I called out for Ray. He didn't answer. I waited. 10 minutes passed, then 20. And then I saw someone outside the truck. They were facing away from me, their body twitching like a puppet with tangled strings. Slowly, they turned their head, just the head, and I swear it was my sister's face. Pale, blank, but wrong. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The thing tilted its head at an unnatural angle, then sprinted on all fours into the desert. I locked the truck doors and waited for the sun. This story seems to be getting scarier, doesn't it? If you want more stories like this, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. This helps create even more scary for you. The next night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. My brain kept replaying that moment, seeing myself outside the truck, running on all fours into the desert, the twisted face of my sister. I kept telling myself it was just the stress, the isolation messing with my head, but something in me knew it wasn't. Ray showed up like usual, his boots kicking up sand as he made his way to the shack. His face was different that night, though. He was more serious than I'd ever seen him, his eyes narrow, like he'd been expecting something. "You hear it last night?" he asked without any preamble. I didn't answer right away. I didn't know how to. How could I explain to someone what I saw, what I thought I saw? Yeah, I said finally. I did. He nodded. You can't ignore it. That's how it gets you. Ray was starting to sound more like a man who believed in what he said, more like he'd seen it himself, something he didn't want to admit. I wanted to tell him about the thing outside the truck, but the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I handed him the walkie. What do we do now? Ray sighed, a deep, exhausted sound. You don't move, you stay inside. I'll handle it. He didn't explain what it was. I didn't ask. The rest of the shift passed slowly. The silence was thicker than usual, like the desert itself was holding its breath. My eyes kept darting to the shadows, looking for anything that wasn't supposed to be there, but nothing showed up. No coyotes, no strange figures, just the occasional rustling of wind through the dry brush. Around 3 a.m., the radio crackled again, but this time, it wasn't just static, it was a faint whisper, like someone was standing right next to me. Tyler. I froze. It sounded just like before, but sharper this time, closer. I grabbed the walkie, ready to respond, but I couldn't force myself to press the button. Another voice, quieter but more urgent, came through the radio. Raise, don't answer. I said don't answer. It's not real. I stared at the radio. My hand was shaking. It wasn't just the cold, it was something worse. Then, a sound that made my blood run cold, a high-pitched scream, like a woman in pain, echoed through the desert. It was coming from the far end of the field, the same direction I'd seen that thing run the night before. My heart skipped a beat. I grabbed my flashlight and bolted out of the shack without thinking. It was stupid. I knew it was stupid, but I couldn't stop myself. The desert was alive with sound now, not the usual animal noises, but something deeper, like the earth itself was groaning under pressure. I stumbled toward the place where I had seen the figure, my flashlight cutting through the darkness, revealing nothing but rocks and twisted, dry brush. That's when I saw it. The figure from the night before. It was standing there, just like before, only this time it was much closer, too close. But it wasn't moving. I raised the flashlight. The figure was tall, unnaturally tall, with skin that looked like cracked leather. It had the outline of a person, but the way it stood, it didn't feel human. There was something wrong with it, something animalistic about the way its limbs were positioned, like it was watching me, studying me. My gut told me to turn around and run, but I couldn't. I was frozen. Tyler, that voice again, soft, familiar, my mother's voice this time. It almost sounded like she was standing behind me, just out of reach. My breath hitched in my throat. I took a step back, but the figure moved with me, its head tilting slightly as if it was curious about what I'd do next. I turned around to sprint back to the shack, but as soon as I moved, it was gone. Just like that, vanished into thin air. I made it back to the shack, breathless and shaking. The radio crackled again. Did you see it? It was Ray, his voice steady, though I could hear the tension underneath. I didn't answer right away. I saw something, I said finally, my voice barely a whisper. It looked like a person, but it wasn't. It was wrong, and it called my name. Ray's voice was cold, distant now. You've seen it now. You understand what I meant. I nodded, though I wasn't sure what I understood. I still didn't know what was out there, or why it had started following me, but I knew one thing for sure now. It was real, whatever it was. Stay in the truck tonight, Ray said. I'll finish the patrol. You don't go out there again. I didn't argue. I couldn't. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, all I saw was that figure, the way it moved, the way it called my name, the way it seemed to know me. But the worst part wasn't seeing it, it was the feeling that it was still out there watching, waiting. Ray didn't say much the next night, just handed me the walkie and told me to keep quiet. Don't go looking for it. If it wants you, it'll come, he said, his voice grave. There was no attempt at humor, no casual warning. He was serious now, more serious than I had ever seen him. The night passed in a blur of unease. each gust of wind or rustling in the distance making me jump. Every time I checked the perimeter, I half expected to see that figure standing just out of reach, watching me from the shadows, but it never came. The night passed quietly, but it felt like the calm before a storm. Around 2 a.m., the radio crackled again. It was the same voice, the voice that sounded like my mother, Tyler. I froze, my blood ran cold. It was coming from behind me, outside the truck. I glanced at the rearview mirror, but there was nothing. I turned back to the radio, trying to ignore the icy grip on my chest. The voice came again, clearer this time, closer. Tyler, I need you. I grabbed the walkie, my hand shaking. Ray's voice came through, sharp and clear. I told you to stay in the truck. Don't listen to it. But it wasn't Ray's voice that followed. It was my voice again, mimicking my tone, my cadence, perfectly. Tyler, come help me. I'm so scared. My heart skipped. I knew that voice. It was my sister's. I knew it. It was her. Without thinking, I unlocked the truck door and stepped outside. Bad move. As soon as my foot hit the desert floor, the temperature dropped. It felt like something was sucking the warmth out of the air. The ground beneath my boots was hard, almost frozen, and the dry wind began to howl like a chorus of voices. I stumbled toward the fence, my flashlight trembling in my hand. The whispering voice was louder now, pulling me forward. It was coming from the far end of the field, where the solar panels stretched like dark sentinels in the night. Tyler, please. The words twisted in my chest, like a knife. I couldn't think, I couldn't reason. All I could do was follow the voice. It wasn't my sister. I knew that. It couldn't be, but I couldn't stop myself. I moved closer to the fence, my feet carrying me against my will, and then I saw it again, that same figure from the night before, standing motionless, its head tilted in that same unnatural way. But this time, it wasn't alone. There were others, 2, maybe 3 figures, standing behind it. They were just silhouettes in the dark, but I could feel them, watching me. My skin crawled, and the air felt thick, like I was suffocating. And then I heard it. A low, growling noise, like something deep inside the earth. Something ancient. It was coming from all around me, surrounding me. My breath came in short gasps as I realized the figures weren't just standing there. They were circling me, closing in slowly, methodically, like wolves to their prey. I backed up, heart racing. The growl grew louder, more urgent. My flashlight flickered, and for a split second, I saw them clearly. They were human, sort of. Their skin was stretched tight over bone, gray and cracked like old leather. Their eyes were black, empty, like holes carved into their skulls. Their mouths were too wide, their teeth too sharp, their bodies bent and contorted in ways that weren't natural. And then it spoke. You shouldn't have come out here. The voice was wrong. It wasn't mine anymore. It wasn't my sister's either. It was something older, darker, something that didn't belong to this world. I turned and ran, the ground beneath me shifting, the wind howling in my ears. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see what was following me. I heard it though, the thundering footsteps, the ragged breathing, the sounds of something chasing me, but never catching up. It was all I could do to keep running. I made it back to the truck, slamming the door shut behind me. My heart pounded in my chest. I didn't know if I was shaking from fear or exhaustion, maybe both, but the desert was silent now. The voice had stopped, the growling was gone, and then the radio crackled again. Tyler, get out of there, now. It was Ray. His voice was tight, strained. I grabbed the walkie, but before I could respond, the truck door rattled, hard. Someone or something was trying to get in. The thing outside knew my name, it knew my fears, and worst of all, it was getting closer. I don't know how long I sat there, hands gripped tightly on the steering wheel, staring out into the desert. My heart was pounding in my chest, my breath coming in shallow gasps. Every inch of my body was telling me to run, to get out of the truck and drive, but I couldn't move. I couldn't think. The terror was paralyzing. The knock came again. The door rattled like someone was trying to rip it off its hinges. I jumped, my heart leaping into my throat. I spun around, flashlight scanning the perimeter, but there was nothing, just the endless darkness, just the wind, rustling through the sand and sagebrush. But I felt it, the presence outside. It was close, too close. I grabbed the walkie, almost frantic. "Ray," I said, voice shaking. "Ray, something's out here. It knows my name." The radio crackled, and for a moment, I thought Ray was going to respond, but the voice that came through wasn't his. It was too distorted, too low, like something trying to mimic his voice but failing. "Ray, get out here, please." "I can't." The voice cut off abruptly, replaced by static, the same static that had haunted me ever since I'd first heard it call my name. I turned the key in the ignition, my hands slick with sweat. The engine sputtered, groaned, but it didn't start. I tried again, nothing. I hit the steering wheel, cursing under my breath. The lights on the dashboard flickered, and for a split second, I thought I saw something in the reflection in the rearview mirror. I turned to look. It was standing behind me, just beyond the window, a silhouette, the thing from before, the one with the twisted face, the one that had mimicked my sister, that had imitated my voice, but this time, it was different. It wasn't just a figure, it was inside my head. I could hear it, whispering, urging me. "Come outside, Tyler. You know you want to." I grabbed the walkie again, pressing the button. "Ray, where the hell are you?" But this time, the voice that came through wasn't Ray's, it was my own, my voice. "Tyler, you're not alone anymore." My breath caught in my throat. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I felt like I was losing control, like I was becoming part of the nightmare I was trapped in. And then the thing outside, the one that looked like me, moved. It didn't just shift or step forward. It glided, like it was floating through the air, its body twisting unnaturally as it came closer. I slammed my foot on the gas pedal, desperate, but nothing. The truck wouldn't start. I punched the dashboard, hard, again and again, but the truck just sat there, stubborn and unyielding, its engine silent. The thing was at the window now. I could see it clearer than ever before, its eyes wide and hollow, like dark pits staring into my soul. Its mouth opened, but instead of words, it let out a guttural growl, deep and guttural, like an animal. I was frozen. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. The thing's face pressed against the glass, its cold breath fogging up the window. "Tyler." It spoke my name, but this time it wasn't a voice, it was a feeling, like a sharp, icy finger tracing down my spine. It wanted something from me. It wanted me to open the door, to step outside. I grabbed the walkie again, holding it up like it was a weapon. "Ray, for God's sake, where are you?" The radio crackled, but it wasn't Ray's voice that came through. It was the thing that looked like me, the thing that had been following me. "You can't escape." The words weren't just on the radio, they were inside my head now. It was inside my head. I could feel it, like a presence pressing against my skull, whispering to me, telling me things I didn't want to hear, telling me I was trapped. "You're not going anywhere." It was too much. The fear, the cold, the pounding in my chest. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned the key again, praying the truck would start, praying I could get away from whatever this thing was. This time, the engine turned over, but the truck didn't move. It was like I was stuck in place, the wheels turning but the truck not going anywhere. The thing outside didn't make a sound, didn't move, it was just there. I slammed my fist against the steering wheel. "Ray, Ray, please, get out here." No response. I was alone. Then, just as I was about to lose it completely, I saw a flash of movement outside the corner of my eye, a shadow moving fast. Someone was running across the field. I squinted, trying to focus. It was Ray. Ray was running toward me, but something was wrong. He was running, but he wasn't moving like a man. His body was jerking, twitching like a puppet with its strings cut. And behind him, following closely, was that thing, the one that had been stalking me, the one that had called my name. The thing was coming for him, too. And it was coming fast. Ray's body jerked unnaturally as he ran, his movements erratic, like he was being dragged by invisible strings. I could barely make out his face through the shadows, but I saw the panic in his eyes, desperation, fear. He was running, but not fast enough. The thing was too close now. I watched, helpless, as the thing behind him closed the gap. It was no longer hiding in the shadows. It was in full view now. It wasn't just one of the twisted, skinless figures I had seen before. It was something far worse. Its face was stretched impossibly wide, its jaw unhinged, and its eyes were deep, empty pits of darkness. It was chasing Ray, but it wasn't moving like a human anymore. It was too fast, too inhuman. "Ray!" I screamed, my voice cracking with panic. I grabbed the walkie again, but I didn't know if it would help. I didn't know if Ray could hear me or if it was even him out there anymore. The thing behind him looked almost like a puppet, but with no strings. Its body twisted as it sped toward him, its feet barely touching the ground. Ray looked back once, his face twisted with terror, and for a moment, I saw him stop running. He staggered, falling to his knees in the sand. He was done. I could see it in his eyes. He had reached the point where he couldn't fight anymore, and that's when the thing reached him. It didn't grab him. It didn't need to. It just opened its mouth, a gaping hole, too large for a human to comprehend, and in an instant, it swallowed Ray whole. No scream, no struggle, just a horrible, crushing silence as the thing devoured him, his body vanishing into the darkness without a sound. I felt bile rise in my throat, but I couldn't look away. The thing stood there, staring at me now, its head tilted, as if it was waiting for me to understand something. The world around me seemed to shift, distort, the air thickened, and the truck felt smaller, suffocating. Suddenly, the ground beneath the truck groaned, and I could feel something pulling at my very soul, as though the earth itself was trying to drag me down. I fumbled for the keys, heart racing, but it was too late. The truck wouldn't start. I slammed the wheel in frustration, and that's when I heard it. A voice, but not on the radio, not from outside. It was in my head. "You can't run anymore." I turned. The figure from before the thing was right outside the truck. It wasn't just a shadow anymore. It was here, its face inches from the window, grinning that horrific grin, wide and jagged. I could feel its breath on the glass, a stifling cold that made my skin crawl. It knew me. It knew everything about me, and it was in my head now. It wasn't just mimicking my voice anymore. It was inside me. The whispers, the growls, the endless darkness, it was all starting to come together. It had been stalking me. It had been watching me for days. It didn't need the truck or the radio. It didn't need anything but me. I scrambled for the door handle, but before I could open it, the thing did it for me. The door ripped open with unnatural force, and in that instant, I was face to face with it. I could feel its presence, its hunger, like a wave crashing against my chest. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. It just reached for me. Its hands, no, claws, grabbing me by the shoulders, dragging me toward it. I fought, thrashing, kicking, but I couldn't break free. Its grip was iron tight, its touch colder than anything I'd ever felt before. I could hear it breathing, feel its face inches from mine. Its eyes were black, voids of nothingness that seemed to suck the life out of me. "You can't escape," it hissed. The last thing I remember is the deep, suffocating darkness swallowing me whole. My body went numb, my vision blurred, and the thing's voice, once again, echoed in my head. "It's time." Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts on this terrifying story, and subscribe for more spine-chilling horror tales.